Welcome to our channel. This is Go Big and Go Homeschool. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Alan.
We have 10 children. We have 7 at home, 7 in the van with us. We live in Las Vegas, Nevada. We've homeschooled for 17 years.
We homeschooled for 17 years. I got fat.
It's the 3rd week of January. I have blocked out the last week of January to plan and clean and organize. It's definitely time for a reset. I need to bring some things back onto the table, and I'll bring you along for that planning session. I'm on my way back from getting pizza for the kids. It's Valentine's Day weekend, and although we've never made a big deal out of Valentine's Day before, today we are, because Alan has just returned. He's home. He's been gone for a week all by himself, walking Venice Beach and plastering his hotel room with plans and goals and visions, and he's really excited to share it with me, and I'm excited that he got the R&R time that he really needed. And so what'd you come up with? What are some of the goals we talked about?
Oh man, lots of stuff. A lot of it is just, bettering our schedule and making sure that we're including everything in our schedule. Things kind of got helter-skelter when we decided to sell the company, and then the company we stepped into had a lot of things to fix. So it was just kind of like anything to get it done. We kind of got off base with our budget, we got off base with our diet, we got off base with homeschooling, we got off, you name it.
We derailed everywhere.
Yeah, we derailed. So it was basically about that, just resetting the schedule, understanding where we're headed, and then now we're going to be pushing into the year. So.
Yesterday in Las Vegas, we had a very unusual, crazy windstorm, and I looked outside to see that my greenhouse had completely collapsed and crushed my garden. Oh, you guys, this is so bad. My table of seedlings that were coming along so nicely has been knocked over. My main bed actually doesn't look too bad. It looks like some things got squished. Oh, my big planter, which had my 3 sisters' garden, has been knocked over, and all is lost there. I'm gonna have to start that over. It's gonna take a lot of work to get it all cleared out and to rebuild something new. Today's the day we're going to clean up the remains of my greenhouse and start an indoor grow area. Well, it took a few hours, but we got it done. It looks 1,000% better. the guys going today?
Explosion, I think.
Explosion. Are you excited to go to Explosion?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? So, I have a very good idea what this is.
She does.
Yeah. And you guys are going to laugh.
It's a book.
It's a book, of course. It's always a book. Remember how I said, do you guys remember where the copy of such and such is? And the second I order a new one, I'm going to find the old one. Do you guys remember that?
What? Oh,
That's what I
okay.
found yesterday.
What? Oh, you found the original?
I found the original. Hi, friends. Time to start planning. The kids are gone. The dog is howling pitifully out the window. And I have my hideous-looking notes that I've been making for the past few weeks. I'm going to write these up for you nicely. I just want to let all you mamas out there know that it's okay to work with really disgusting notes. So, planning. I like to plan 6 weeks at a time. Some people call this Sabbath schooling. It's something we started, I'd want to say, maybe a year and a half ago, and I am sold. We love it. It works great. The advantages to planning 6 weeks at a time and then taking a week off means that we have long enough to really delve into a subject, but not quite so long that we get bogged down. Taking that 7th week off means that I have time to reassess, take a look and see how everybody's doing. Do we need to back up? Do we need to take a little more time on this? Are we, able to move forward a little faster? I really, really like planning 6 weeks at a time. So that's what I'll be doing. The first thing I'll be planning is morning time. Because we do so many subjects together during morning time, it makes sense to knock that out first. These are some of the potential categories that I can be thinking about as I'm planning the next 6 weeks of morning time. We probably won't do them all. And even the subjects that I do choose, we'll probably put on a loop so that we're not doing every subject every day. My absolute non-negotiables are Bible, catechism, and a read aloud. I'm really interested to look into World Watch. World Magazine is a magazine that my dear mom has gotten a subscription for us for many years. It comes in many different grade levels. It is from a Christian perspective, and it just has a lot of really great information on current events, and my kids really enjoy that. But I've recently learned that they actually have a show. Of the things that we do in morning time, history takes the most planning. So I always start with that. We use Truthquest History. I like it very, very much. We've used many different curricula over the years. This is by far my favorite. It is literature-based. It has wonderful discussion guides, and it's really easy to tailor to a variety of ages. So we're doing the Middle Ages. And this particular one is for grades 5 through 12. However, in the book list suggestions, you can always find books for younger grades and throw in a few of those as well. So I always plan up, meaning if we're going to do something together in morning time, I'm going to plan for the oldest kids first. It always floors me how much they manage to gain just from listening in to what I'm doing with the big kids. So, look at this. All you Psalm 127 mamas will understand why I absolutely had to have this sweatshirt, but these little ties are getting in my way. This is a chart that I hand drew. Yes, I hand drew it. Yes, I know for a normal person, it would be quicker to do it on the computer. I'm not a normal person. It literally is faster for me to write up a quick chart and prettier. So I'm going to go make some copies of this and show you how I plan for history. So you can see that I finished filling out our Truthquest reading. And although Truthquest is normally very literature heavy, and we didn't, the only literature that I chose was the Emerald Sea the first week. Since the first couple weeks have such heavy reading, I went ahead and just chose lighter selections for the rest of the term. And we were fortunate to find a few short videos by Nabil Qureshi in. So this is what we've got for the next 6 weeks, and it's time to move on to the next thing. Now that we have our history planning done, it's time to move on to Shakespeare. And this really was so easy. I already had an idea that we would be doing Twelfth Night. We've only done a little Shakespeare in the past. We've done Midsummer Night's Dream, which the kids really enjoyed. And we did Julius Caesar, which they did not really enjoy, but we got through it and we had our pleasant moments with it. We did memorize Mark Antony's speech, and everybody really liked doing that. So this time I thought we needed to pick a lighter play. And so I've turned to my trusty Shakespeare, The Animated Tales. Picked this up at a used curriculum sale, obviously for $10. I can't get the tag off. So I always check here first to see if they have what we're looking for, and sure enough, this does have Twelfth Night. These are just surreal and weird enough that my teens love them. Understandable enough even for the small children. So we'll start with that. Shakespeare was meant to be watched and listened to, not necessarily read for the first time. So we'll start with that. Then we will move on to this gorgeous volume that I have. This is Tales from Shakespeare by Tina Packer. And I just had to check and make sure that it had Twelfth Night. It sure does. We'll be reading through this together. We're not actually going to be reading the play itself. I feel like we have too much else on our plate this term. Now my favorite, How to Teach Your Children Shakespeare by Ken Ludwig. This is the book that gave me the confidence that I needed to get started teaching Shakespeare. And he has a section on Twelfth Night. So we'll be memorizing the Cesario's Willow Cabin passage together and following along all of his wonderful notes that help you enjoy and absorb and understand what you're reading. The other thing I really love about this book is that anybody, even if you haven't bought the book, you can go on to kenludwig.com and you can print out his beautifully formatted versions of the memory passages. They are formatted in such a way that you know where to put the proper inflections, and it makes it more fun to memorize. Large print, great for small kids. I'm really looking forward to doing that. And now all that I have to do is make sure that our DVD player works and put these in my morning basket. Guys, what on earth? Where is my morning basket? I hope this doesn't just happen to me. Please tell me this happens to other people too. My kids like my baskets. They dump them out so that they can have little stuffy parties or whatever. And then when I'm trying to load it up with the next selection of wonderful truth, goodness, and beauty, it's gone. As suspected, in the boys' closet full of junk. I love this basket. I think I got it at Target. I like it because it is virtually indestructible. So, load up our Shakespeare books and our Twelfth Night. Pop that in there so we're not looking for it later. Okay, we've got Usborne's Medieval World, Our Island Story, Beggars, Beasts, and Easter Fire, The Emerald Sea, Greenleaf's Guide to the Famous Men of the Middle Ages. All set for history and Shakespeare. Moving on. Bible stories. I feel like my kids really don't have the foundation in the basic Bible stories that I would like them to. It's been a couple years since we've worked our way through a basic Bible story book. We do have Bible time as a family at night, and my husband reads aloud the Bible just one chapter at a time. But I'm thinking of my older kids who will not be in my house for too many more years, and I want to make sure that they really have Bible stories down. So what we will be doing is what we began with. We began with this wonderful book Several years ago when I first started doing morning time, and I even had young adults at home. It's not cutesy, it's not cartoony. It's a lot like an Usborne or a Kingfisher book. It has lots of little, historical and interesting little facts put into the margins. And it reads at a higher level. My younger ones don't seem to have any trouble following along, so I'm going to pop this in here and we're just going to start at the beginning and read a story a day. Okay, we've got that in our basket. Let's move on to our hymn. I think we're going to go with Come Thou Almighty King. This is from this wonderful book, the Family Worship Book. There's no planning required for World Watch. I just need to make a call and confirm that our subscription covers that. If it doesn't, I'll go ahead and purchase it. Once we have a feeling for how long it takes to watch one, I'll decide how often we're going to throw that into our morning time routine. I'm guessing it'll probably be a once a week or twice a week thing. So I'm going to go ahead and check that off. It doesn't really require much planning. And now we are going to move on to scripture memory. These are just going to come straight from our catechism book. I think you all had the pleasure of watching me unpackage that earlier. We're going to use our shiny new copy of Training Hearts, Teaching Minds, and we're just going to pick up right where we left off last, which was right around the time we lost the first copy of the book about a week ago. Starts with a question, and then Monday through Saturday, it has a reading to help you understand what the question and answer mean, and there are scripture references. So typically what I do is I have my older kids, 2 or 3 of them, each grab a copy of a Bible, and then they race to see who can find the verse first and read it. So we'll probably only get through 3 questions, I would guess, in a 6-week period. I like to take it really slow. For each one, I will go through and pick 1 or 2 of the verses, and we'll work on those. Okay, I went ahead and chose some verses for us to memorize, so I'm going to use that as a bookmark in here, and we're going to go ahead and pop that in our basket and move on to the next thing. Okay, a poem. My boys have been talking about wanting to do a really manly poem, so I'm going to have to hunt one down. And for this, I'm going to turn to an old friend. I have here A Handbook to Morning Time by Cindy Rollins. When she wrote this book, she was determined that it would be available for free to anyone who wanted it. So there are ways to get this book for free. I'll figure that out and I'll try to link it below for you. But this is a companion to Cindy's wonderful, wonderful book, Mere Motherhood. And this is just some basic ideas for what you can do on morning time. And I'm going to go ahead and flip through her poetry section and see if I can find something manly that the boys can memorize. Well, I'm going to see if there's something manly in here that I think that all of us can memorize together. You guys, it turns out that long ago I used money as a bookmark in here, and that's good because I have ordered a few books during the course of planning this morning. I'm not gonna lie. I started looking through this list of Cindy's recommendations, and there's this very sweet little poem, A Love Between Brothers and Sisters, and it's all about how brothers and sisters shouldn't fight. And I was very, very tempted to have us memorize that at this time, but I think that there would be mutiny. I did find The Village Blacksmith by Longfellow, and I think this is going to really fit the bill. It's not too difficult, it's not too long, and it's definitely very manly. His brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns whatever he can, and looks the whole wide world in the face, for he owes not any man. I mean, capitalism, poetry. I love it. We're definitely putting this in here. So I've printed out 5 copies, 4 for all of the readers amongst the children, and 1 for me. I forgot to mention that what I also will do is hop on the laptop and go through YouTube and find somebody reading this aloud beautifully. And probably what we'll do is for several days in a row, we'll just listen to it and read along. This is how we memorized Mark Antony's speech from Shakespeare. It's what we'll do when we're memorizing the portions from Twelfth Night. It's just really effective. It kind of takes the pressure off. Kids can just kind of absorb it, listen to how other people have read it. And, nobody has to be paying super close attention for the first few days, and we can just kind of be gently introduced to the Shakespeare and poetry. So that's done. I've decided that we're not going to study a composer this term because this is a very full morning basket. We already have a lot. We won't be doing everything every day. We're already going to be rotating and just doing things every other day or so. I really do want to do review. For that, I'm just going to grab my old beat up folder of things we've done in morning baskets past, and we'll flip through them at whim. So now I just need to think about our read aloud. And actually, we've just started The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. For me, it's probably the 50th, 60th time. For the little ones, it's maybe the first time that they've been old enough to really listen. And for the big ones, well, who doesn't love another reading of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Okay, so morning time planning is done, and now I'm going to move on to the kids' individual planning. Over the last couple days, I spent a lot of time organizing and cleaning things up, and so we're all ready to go with a couple of these baskets. Now this one has a planner or a bullet journal for each kid, and this kind of happened by accident. I use and love a bullet journal, and Nia, who is 16, was watching me create mine, and she wanted to sit in on some of the YouTube videos I was watching. People really get crazy creative with their bujos, and she wanted to jump on that bandwagon, and I definitely want to encourage that. So this is Nia's, just kind of a basic planner. I don't think we're going to use this for school much. This is more to keep track of other things going on in life, although she could use this for school planning if she wanted. Oh, she's done such a beautiful job here. This is to keep track of park days, field trips, scouts activities, that kind of thing. This one I picked up for my 9-year-old because we were reading the book Wonder together, and he liked the idea of having his own planner. And it so happens that his math curriculum calls for a lot of calendar work, so I went ahead and grabbed that for him. He's loving it. My 13-year-old and 12-year-old, they just wanted something plain and simple, so I have those for them. This is my 7-year-old's. It came with The Good and the Beautiful Math, so we're just going to use this. She's really taken pleasure in filling that place she wanted, but we have those all ready to go. Really not sure how these are going to play into our next term. I'll be excited to see where that goes. This has people's assignment notebooks, and I'm going to go ahead and grab these now and show you how we fill these in. I, of course, got this idea from Sarah Mackenzie. Many of you are familiar with her and the spiral notebook planning system. We love it. We've done this for a couple of years now, and it really helps to keep us on track. So this always happens to me when I'm planning. I think I know what books I have, and then I go looking for them, and I don't have them. It doesn't help that we moved recently. So it appears that I do not have the versions of IEW that I thought I did and that I had planned for Nia to get started on. As I was looking through those books, I remembered that I wanted us to do grammar during morning time. We don't typically do grammar individually. We have done it in the past all together as a family, and I think it's time that we pick that up again. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to our morning basket. And I may be assigning some work at whim for the older kids. Now, what I'm going to use, if I can find it, is Rod and Staff 3. I love Rod and Staff English. We've used it from the very beginning of homeschooling, starting 17 years ago. And there is so much repetition in the Rod and Staff series that I gradually just whittled it down to grade 3 and I think grade 8, and that's all I have the kids do. So I'm going to pull that book out, put it in our morning basket, and we're just going to pull out a few sentences, a few concepts each week and work through them slowly. And if I think that it would benefit the kids, I will assign work individually from that. Other than that, I'm just going to have them do narration and copy work as usual. I think those are as valuable as doing any other writing course out there. So that'll give me some time before our next 6-week term to kind of fish around and see what IEW has to offer that's new and go from there. Success. I found Rollins Staff English 6. After I flipped through 3, was it 3? I don't know. I really felt it was way too simple for the older kids. And the younger kids are getting quite a bit of grammar in the other resources that they'll be using. So I went ahead and grabbed my Progressing with Courage. This is just the teacher's edition. One thing I really love about Rollins Staff is that they have exact copies of the pages of what the student text would say included in the teacher's edition. So I'm going to put this in our morning basket, and every day I will pull it out, we'll grab a sentence or two, I'll get out my whiteboard, and we'll just work through some of these concepts together. I feel like this is the perfect level for my boys, probably going to be very, very simple for Nia, but it'll give her a really good foundation and help fill in some gaps. We haven't done grammar in a long time. Other than that, I'm not going to have her do a formal writing program. She will just continue with narration and copy work. This is interesting. I was listening to a podcast, Freakonomics, I believe, in which some educational experts were being interviewed and talking about how if they had their druthers, they would see some of the higher maths, because I believe this person was British or Australian, taken out of public school curriculum and instead replace it with statistics. And I'm going to have to go back and listen to that podcast again, but I recall being convinced, and of course, I got it on Amazon and I ordered this a long time ago and promptly forgot that I had it. It's Exploring Creation with Biology by Apologia. And we have the microscope, we have most of the stuff. I am going to have to go through, probably order. I know that this is an older version. I have a newer version around here somewhere. So I'm going to have to go through and see if there's the pre-made kit that I can order that has all of the stuff for doing the experiments. Now, here I was revealing this dirty secret to you, and I think I covered up my microphone, so I'm going to start again. I've never done science at home with high schoolers before. Truth be told, we don't do a lot of science at all until around 7th, 8th grade age, and then I find whatever fabulous homeschool co-op there happens to be rolling nearby, and that's where they can go do all of their messy labs, and they can blow up the chemicals, and they can dissect the owl pellets, and they can do all the math that's so way over my head. This year, there just isn't going to be anything like that offered because of COVID, so I think we're going to have to blaze through this at home by ourselves. So we're going to use Apologia. I'm going to go get the kit, and I've got to sit down and plan that out now. Here's what we've come up with for Nia, and I just glued this and taped it onto the front page of her daily assignment notebook. This is what she'll use as a guide so that each night she can look at what's coming for the next day and fill it in. It's pretty simple, and here's how she would use this notebook. So let's pretend that it is Monday. Okay, so she's going to write Monday at the top of her page and then the date, okay? She's going to take a look at the page from the math tutor, and she's going to see, for instance, that she needs to do lesson 50, and from statistics, who knows even how they're going to assign, work for this, but maybe they'll decide to do 2 questions for the week or something like that. We don't know how that's going to go. Then she'll take a look at Apologia, which is the biology curriculum. And let's say that she knows that to get through a module in 2 weeks, she's going to have to read, 10 pages a day. So she's going to read pages 1 through 10. And as she's looking through there, she sees that she needs to do on your own questions. And let's just say this happens to be a day that there is also an experiment to do. This is her chance the night before to tell me if there's anything that we need to gather from around the house in order to complete all of that work. Now, every day, since forever, she's done a page of narration and a page of copywork. So even though she knows she's going to be doing those every day, I'm going to have her write it down anyway, just because it's nice to have a little checklist to keep her on track. Very, very easy. Takes the pressure off me, keeps everybody organized. I would say probably a child 10 or older can handle their own assignment notebook. So that is Nia's. I always plan from the top down, starting with the oldest child, which means that Zion will be next. This is what I will be taping into the front cover of his notebook. It's nearly identical to Nia's. As per his request to suddenly start doing science, once I flipped through Apologia and was reminded of what's in it, I decided that he probably is capable, particularly since he'll be working alongside his sister, and we happen to have 2 copies of the book. So I'm going to go ahead and assign science for him. I think he'll enjoy that. And of course, narration and copywork and math. I've added in handwriting with a question, and here's my deal with this child. We have an agreement that he can turn in copywork that is perhaps not his best, most careful handwriting, and then do an extra page of handwriting. Or he can turn in copywork that it looks like he spent some time on and was careful on, and then he doesn't have to do a page of handwriting. It's totally up to him.
Ransom, age 11, will have a very simple page in his assignment notebook. Each day he'll just do a page of narration, a page of copywork, and math as assigned by Mrs. Davis, the tutor. I'm also going to have him read Hatchet. Now, these books that I'm assigning to them are books that they'll be reading on their own, and they don't include the read-alouds that we will be doing together every day.
Here is Moses' assignment notebook. Moses is 9. And so this is really going to be the first time that I'm going to turn the reins over to him to fill in his own assignment notebook pages every day. I'm guessing that probably for the first week or so, I'll have to sit down and do it with him until he gets the hang of it. So what Moses is going to be doing daily is grammar, which is leftover pathway readers. Let me grab that for you.
More Busy Times is part of the Pathway Reader series from Rollins staff, and I find that it's a really good kind of place filler in between phonics and the child being ready for their formal grammar or English series, as they call it. It's just a very simple, sweet reader, stories about little Mennonite kids on the farm. After he reads the story, he'll fill in all the pages that go with it. I do cross off some stuff. I don't care if they, know all of the codes for the phonetic sounds, that kind of stuff. I would cross that off. I just find that this is great because my kids never actually finish a phonics program before they're off and reading. So sometimes some spelling rules and things slip through the cracks, and this is a great way for them to get caught up on all of that stuff, get in the habit of doing something consistently each day. And by the time he's done with this book, which should be done in a couple weeks, this is very simple for him. He started this before we moved a few months ago, and we couldn't find it.
Guys, time flies. I cannot believe that Candor is old enough to have her very first assignment notebook. She is very pleased, and I think she'll be doubly pleased to see that it has a cactus on it because she is a cactus-loving girl. So this will be her very first assignment notebook. Here is 7-year-old Candor's page in her daily assignment notebook, and it's very simple. She'll do grammar with me, and she'll do math with me. We are trying out The Good and the Beautiful for the first time this year. And so far, liking it. I guess I'm going to have to do a separate review on that, although there are already a million reviews out there online. That's something that we do together daily. And also I'm going to start her on grammar. Now she's going to be doing Busy Times, which is the book that comes before More Busy Times. Gotta love the simplicity from Rollins staff. Now, this, I guess I don't have the workbook to go with it. They are really cheap. I mean, we're talking like $2 or $3. So typically I buy them several copies at a time, but I looked through my big wonderful box from the horrible closet of doom and I did not find the workbook. So I'm gonna have to order that for her and we will do that daily together. Ransom got hurt? Oh no.
He jumped and we were playing.
He jumped when you were playing?
Yeah.
Are you ready to eat lunch?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. Looks like we have a casualty from taking a day off. Thanks so much for watching me stumble through life, trying to find the time to plan. It can be hard, right, mamas? But we're always so glad when it's done and ready to tackle the next term. Now, there's a lot I didn't address, like what to do with the toddler and the 5-year-old. Well, all the big kids are trying to get school done, and when do you do dinner, and how do you get the laundry done? If you want to know how I create our family's schedule, with all of those little moving parts, stick around for the next video, and you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Happy homeschooling.